This week, it's a Merry Christmas movie.
Oh, sorry. I was just trimming the tree.
What?
I didn't realize we were doing an intro.
Oh, yes.
Let me just string this tinsel and put a bow on this present.
Interestingly enough, there is tinsel in this film.
Yes.
No bows, really, to speak of.
There are bows. There are bows on the presents.
Yeah, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
They're not interactive, though. Not like the tinsel.
Sure.
Yes.
It's the holidays.
It is. It's holiday week.
So we're doing a holiday film.
Yes, we are. Your favorite kind.
I've thrown you thoroughly, haven't
you? Really have. That was like a kick to the fucking head. Like judo style. Ooh. Oh, man. Well, as is mostly the tradition, this being our third Christmas episode.
We've been doing this show for 3 Christmases.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And at least 2 of them have been this kind of film.
Yes.
Can't remember if I don't know. Kind of, maybe. No, I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
Anyway, so we're on the train.
Yeah.
For, let's face it, a horror.
A Santa slasher.
Yeah. Because they're just so fun.
They are.
And,
And this was a good one to choose because there's a lot to talk about and there's a lot of lessons. And we do a lot of diving in.
We do. I think we put the waders on and get in there in every aspect on this one.
Yeah.
Because it's a good fun. It's a good fun any time of the year film, but if you're feeling it for the holidays, folks, this is the one that you need to go to.
It is.
Yeah, at least for right now.
It is.
Next year will be another one.
Well, you know what we should do?
What should we do?
We should get back to trimming this tree and wrapping presents and making popcorn and cranberry garlands and all that fun stuff and let them listen to the episode.
We can do that.
All right.
It makes it sound like we're doing it last minute because this is 2 weeks early. Well, 3 actually. Almost. Yeah.
Well,
2. Anyway, no, 2 weeks.
Put your Santa hat on.
My Santa hat is on.
Yeah.
All
jingle
right.
The bells.
Jingle, jingle.
Let's go.
All right.
Hey there, B-Siders. Welcome to a Christmas week episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
And this week we have one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Santa slasher.
Indeed.
Well, kind of.
We wait for this pretty much all year long.
This is my favorite kind of a horror movie. Christmas horror. I don't know why.
They're
because I'm sick and twisted.
No, I think it's because horror movies cover a lot of things, right? We've talked about the different kinds, spooky kinds, monster kinds, creature kinds, slasher kinds. The Christmas horror is its own thing, but within there, they do all manner of shit, right? We have Christmas horror that are slashers. We have Christmas horror that are monsters. We have Christmas horror that are spookies. Just all of the stuff. And I think we all need to admit there's something about taking Christmas, this very celebrated, holy, beloved holiday.
Yeah.
And covering it in blood.
That's true. And it's funny because the past couple of years I have been, I think maybe a little grinchy, around Christmas, just because I haven't really felt the holiday spirit, I guess.
Well, the last 2 years we've been isolated.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't make it to any, there were no Christmas gatherings. There were no, everything because of this damn pandemic has taken what little bit that we did. I mean, we never, even at our height, like decorated the whole house.
Well, no.
Right? We have a tree, we have a couple things we put up and something on the front door, and that's cool. But we enjoy doing the tree, putting the ornaments up with Lily, and that's kind of the thing. But one year we didn't do anything at all.
No.
That was pre-pandemic.
That was because we had just recently moved in and didn't want to. It was the whole thing.
It was a logistics issue.
Yeah.
With all of that.
But this year, I'm force feeling it. I want to feel it so bad because I miss it so much. So I have been on top of you, riding you super hard about being fucking Christmassy.
I am your faithful stallion, and I go where you tell me to go.
So we've been doing a lot of things.
Yeah. And we only got a couple of weekends left, and we're D&D every weekend and stuff. And it kind of, makes it hard to do all the stuff, but we did do the downtown Christmas open house.
We did.
And, we had it was fun, but for us, it was also a little, well, even Lily, it was a little sad just because it was
a little bittersweet.
I mean, with the riots that took place and the pandemic, a lot of businesses closed, and there just wasn't the turnout that there was before. But we still got to listen to some beautiful music.
We did. We got to make some ornaments.
We ate some chicken and mashed potato pasties on the steps of the Capitol while it was cold.
So good.
Listening to this beautiful music outside, and we got to roam a bit and made some ornaments, and it was fun. And we got some things to go see.
Yes.
The Christmas lights and stuff. You and Lily.
We went to see Lindsey Strangling in her Christmas show
on Friday night.
And it was beautiful. It was a really fantastic show. I was in tears a little bit at some parts. And Lily was a little bit. And
she plays some really moving music.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, I'd never heard of her until you brought the ticket thing up. And Lily, because it's just one of those things. I don't have enough time. So much of the world in terms of music. And I was just thinking today, even new comedians, right? Because I was listening to last week's episode and, we were talking about comedy and, getting out there busting up like Richard Pryor and shit. And I'm like, oh my God, Richard Pryor. And it made me think, I've obviously seen comedians since him, and we've seen some comedians fall hard because of some poor decisions since him, especially as of late. But it just made me think that there's so many great comedians out there that we haven't seen. We just don't have the time. It's just like these fucking movies. There's so many good indie films out there.
That's true.
So many good B movies.
Yeah.
You can't find them all.
Oh gosh, I have so many things I want to bring up real quickly.
Please do.
I wanted to mention, because Lindsey Strangling, if you haven't heard of her, go check out her music. She's incredible. She is, and this is her own words, she is a musical storyteller.
Yes.
And kind of the example she gave is everyone knows the, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Just Hear Those Sleigh Bells Jingling, Ring Ting Tingling Too, right?
Yeah.
That song?
Yeah.
When you listen to that song, there is a lot of musical storytelling in it where they use music and sound to have the horses clomping and the snow falling, and it's really interesting listening to that song with that view in mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because with the music you can kind of visually see the stuff, even without the lyrics, just the instrumentals.
Well, yeah, that comes from a time when music composition, that was the whole thing. There was no storyboarding. There was no plays. There was none of that shit. A composer wanted to share with you whatever the fuck was going on in his head at the time, in his heart, or, and they bring people in, and that's all there was the music.
Yeah. There
was no mood lighting. There was no things in the background, and certainly not people moving around. So you had to tell it. And Christmas music was, it had evolved from all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of composers.
Yes.
This is a little late. I think we have recorded at least 1 or 2 episodes since this happened, and it just was so much going on. We have not brought it up, but we lost Stephen Sondheim.
Yes.
A real tragic loss for the world. Someone who has been in music, both in Broadway and in film for many, many years. Fantastic artist. I just pulled up his IMDb page because I was like, I'm curious how many credits Stephen Sondheim has. So 378 credits for soundtrack. And then many, many others, like almost 50 for just like music department. And then several other miscellaneous credits for various things. But wow.
Well, I mean, we're all getting older, and these masters of these crafts who we grew up with, they had a head start on us, and that's just kind of the thing. You just see all these people leaving.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but
I mean, he was aged 91.
And that is impressive.
Yeah.
And it's not just his contribution. I always think about people like that. I mean, they gave us a lot, and we should be thankful for that and grateful for it. And we should enjoy it and recognize it.
Yeah.
But you also just think, we've talked about it. Everybody who's out there creating is a creative, and that's wonderful. But the reality is, just like everything else in life, there is that teeny tiny bit at the top of the mountain where only the legends inhabit, right?
Yeah.
There are so many great screenwriters, but there's a couple that are like, don't even pretend you could do what they do. And composers and musicians and everyone who plays music, says words, writes words, films words. And
yeah. And I think the people who are at that level, like Stephen Sondheim, his legacy is not just all the creative things that he gave to us, right? All of the beautiful music and compositions that he provided to the world, but it branches out like a tree into all of the people that he inspired and influenced who now go on to create things as well.
Yes. And that is the wonderful thing. We were just talking with Lily, because I don't know what we were doing, but I made a joke about my Mr. Scott figure standing by the television, right? And she's like, oh, nobody cares about Mr. Scott. I said, that's where you're wrong, because the character of Mr. Scott inspired millions and millions of children across the globe to get into engineering.
Yeah.
And that is magical, right?
Yes.
And music, Lily is inspired. She was inspired by that concert. She was inspired by listening to the music.
She's been playing a lot. She usually practices like at least once a day.
Yeah.
And she'll do it in little bursts, which is fine. Like it's whatever you can do. But just today, she was practicing for like an hour.
I know.
Most of the afternoon.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. And I think that's what we all aspire to. Wouldn't it be awesome to create one thing or something about that thing continuously inspired people literally to change their course in life?
Yeah.
Right? Or to choose it. I mean, when you're a young kid and you're like, I heard, some score from a film.
Yeah.
Right. That had Stephen in it. And then you're just, the kid's like, oh man, I want to make something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And they're changing their course. They're setting the goal, and then we get these wonderful people who continue that legacy.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before. Art it's a hard thing to hold on to. And it's one of the things in this world that is just, it's balanced, precipitously on the edge all the time of just going away.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much for things to stop.
No, I don't think it would.
And that's kind of scary. And it always has been, which is, I think, why there's so much passion. It's like, if this flaming fucking car is barreling towards that cliff, I'm going to go down ranging some riffs, right? Just, I'm going to pound out the best fucking words I ever did before we hit. Boom. You know, and until that point, you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yes.
You know. So.
One more quick thing.
I
know. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right.
Christmas movies. We watched a pretty fun one.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did want to bring that up.
It is not a B movie. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, well,
it had money, certainly, but
we saw it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That's where we picked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, It's called 8-Bit Christmas. Yes. And it is very much reminiscent of like A Christmas Story.
Yes.
And even a little bit kind of like Princess Bride-y.
Yes.
In the style of storytelling.
It's, you know what? It's actually a great combination of both.
I think so.
Yeah, that you bring them. It's a good blending of those two styles.
Yeah. And it is about, it's Neil Patrick Harris, playing I can't remember the name of the character, but all of his characters are Neil Patrick Harris because he's Neil Patrick Harris. And he is telling his daughter the story of how he got his Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yes. His first video game system, the Nintendo, the first one, folks. Yep, the 8-bit. That's why it's 8-bit Christmas.
Yes. So it's super fun.
It's super fun. It's funny. I mean, Neil Patrick Harris is in it and he narrates, right? And we've talked about this a few times in the last few episodes. Neil Patrick Harris is one of those, if that name is on the whatever it is, we're watching it.
Yes.
Right? We love Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, I adore him.
He's just amazing. But all of the kids in this movie.
That's true. They're wonderful.
Were top bar. And they should be so proud of the work that they did. So if you have a chance, see this. It would make for a fantastic family viewing night for your holidays, going up to Christmas. I personally am going to add that to our pantheon.
Oh yeah.
Of Christmas
annual
month.
Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We will be revisiting that year after year, as long as we can get a hold of it somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of fun there. And let's see, there was something I was going to mention and I completely spaced it. We tonight, just before recording, we sat down and we watched a new episode of the Great British Baking Show Holiday Bake.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they got 2 episodes out. And I say that because I want to say this again. People, it's on Netflix. I don't know if you can find it anywhere else. If you can, that's fine. But you have to see this. You have to watch it if you haven't, because I tell you what, this is the thing that we need. And we've been saying this all through the pandemic. We've said this many times. The Great British Baking Show is it's like one of the few shows where people aren't pissy and bitchy as contestants. They are just lovely people. They have a great spirit. The show itself just makes you feel good. I mean, it's not like American television where you end up fucking hating someone after the first episode. Like, I hope he gets eliminated. You want them all to win. You want them all to have great things. And it's kind of weird because it can get kind of emotional.
It can.
Right? It's just, you think it's just a baking show.
I get a little watery sometimes when watching the Great.
Well, yeah. And I get kind of and I can't tell you why. This isn't like a well-crafted drama, right? No. It's just, it's
just real and warm.
Well, you want so much goodness for all the people in there, and you just hate to see them. I mean, it's that's what the show's about. Yeah. The one who scored the worst basically has to leave, and then it whittles down, and it just gets even at the end, you're like, Lily's always like, who do you want to win? Who do you want to win?
Well, she asked us that when we were watching it earlier tonight. And both of us were like, what? All of them.
Yeah.
I like all of them.
It's only 4 people and it's a one shot, right? They get their 3 things that they bake and then they pick a winner because it's just a holiday thing. It's not the whole 10 weeks. But yeah, we're like, all of them. They should all walk away with something.
Right?
So anyway, 8-Bit Christmas. If you haven't seen it, go see it and enjoy some really great late 80s Nintendo craze fun.
Yes.
And there's so much truth to it.
There is a lot of truth to it.
It's hilarious. It's so stupid that it was ever true.
There's a lot of heart in it too.
There is. And Great British Baking Show.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, let's talk about Santa slashers.
Tell me about the movie.
So, this week we took on Sleigh Bells.
Mm-hmm.
Bells, like Southern bells. Sleigh bells.
And sleigh like killing.
Yeah. So killer Southern bells. Only Christmas.
Kind of weird.
Sleigh bells.
Anyway,
let's see. Put out there into the world in 2018, directed by Dan Walker, written by Jessica Lurson and Dan Walker.
I want to say in the credits for this movie, he lists himself as Spooky Dan Walker.
Spooky Dan Walker?
Yeah.
I love it. Starring Barry Bostwick. Score.
Yeah.
That's another name. Christina Klebe, Susan Slaughter, which I know you like fangirl over this name.
I was like, what a fantastic name.
That the best name to put into indie horror.
Susan Slaughter, amazing.
And Hannah Minks had no rating. We didn't get a budget, but we did find out that they did hop on to Indiegogo and raised $15,000 to finish the film.
Right.
Okay. So here's our plot, folks. It's Christmas Eve, and 3 cosplaying women come across the malevolent Christmas demon Krampus.
Yeah.
The girls must team up with Santa Claus himself to battle the creature and save the world. That I think accurately sums it all up.
This is the first film that we have covered on this podcast that involves Krampus.
Yes. And we had much discussion on that.
We did.
In your Christmas slashing thing, because you were like Santa slasher, and then you were diving into the Krampus.
The Krampi world.
Yeah. So many Krampi.
And if you haven't, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know about the phenomenon that is Krampus in films.
Right.
In the past 10 years or so. But it started in film with a little foreign film called Rare Exports.
Yes.
I think it was a Norwegian film.
Yes. And we saw it.
Yes, we did. And it's wonderful. I love that little gem. And then over here, they made one just called Krampus.
Mm-hmm.
And that had Adam Scott and like a bunch of, interesting people in it. And it was a lowish budget. It
was lowish budget, but they did try to take it like mainstream.
Yeah.
It was your typical horror movie, which ranks it as a B movie.
Yes.
Yeah, because this wasn't like, 400 theaters across
the
country on opening day.
And then a thing happened where, here's the thing, Krampus is not like a new idea, right? Krampus is an old lore from ages past that everyone forgot about for a while.
Yep.
And once it kind of came back, everyone jumped on the Krampus bandwagon and made a bunch of movies about Krampus that vary widely in quality, and story,
and here's budget. Why, because we talked about this. So someone's like, we got some money, and we can get some people, right?
Yeah.
And we can make like a B movie, so pretty high grade. And then they realized, fuck this. Fuck this Krampus nonsense. But every independent filmmaker on the planet who loves holiday horror jumped on the Krampus. There are so many.
There's.
I don't know if we mentioned this. I think we've mentioned this
Krampus
on here
now.
But you wrote several articles.
I did.
For Cultured Vulture.
I did.
On Krampus. And the various Krampus movies. And I sat with you and watched many a Krampus film.
Yeah, we watched several. I got to screen Krampus Origins before it came out.
Yes.
And I wrote a review on it. And Yeah. I mean, I love Krampus.
It's great. And they do vary from, I mean, just
they do.
From literally like sock puppet monsters to super bad CGI to
legit.
Super legit.
Yeah.
And that's something we'll talk about with this one. But yeah, so Krampus is a wide and varied experience. But the whole thing was you were getting torn up because you're like Santa slasher. You're like, do I really want to do a fucking Krampus? Because it's not Santa. It's not Christmas.
Right.
Because they have some Krampus ones that have nothing to do with Christmas.
This is true.
Krampus is like all year round now.
There's Krampus versus Vikings, which looks really fun, but has nothing to do with Christmas.
We've not seen Son of Krampus, but they did branch out with Mother Krampus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we had seen Sleigh Bells a long time ago.
Yes.
And I'm like, why don't we just do that? We liked it.
I had a variety of options to list.
I'm like, and
that was on them.
I will absolutely watch this again. and it serves both. It's got Santa, it's got monsters. We know that it's got a very liberal dispersion of gore.
Yes.
Yes. So here we are with Sleigh Bells. Should we dive into this?
Yes.
All right. Take it away.
So we open up on a little group of cosplayers. They're in like Christmas outfits, covered in blood, these 3 girls. And there's a guy tied up in a chair and he's upset. He starts yelling. And then we kind of flash back and it says 12 hours earlier. And we see those same girls, they're getting ready to celebrate Christmas with an adventure somewhere. We find out they have a YouTube channel called Adventure Girls. They do urban exploring. And they're going to see this place called Santaland that has supposedly been shut down for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get their names throughout the whole movie. I eventually did, but I was like, I've already been calling them the things I've been calling them. So here are the names that I gave them. We have a serious one. We'll call her Sirius.
Okay. I'm gonna put little trailers on those.
Okay.
So her name is actually Alexi.
Okay. And then we have pink hair and blue hair.
Pink hair is Dahlia.
Okay.
And blue hair is Sadie.
All right.
So pink hair and blue hair / Dahlia and Sadie are the Adventure Girls.
Yes.
Yeah. Serious one. I love it. Is their friend who they're bringing along.
And Sirius hasn't watched any of their videos.
Right.
So they're on the way. En route, they stop in a bar because Pink has to use the bathroom. So the others go in for a drink, and it's this like grungy Nowheresville, your typical grungy Nowheresville movie bar.
Yep.
There's a drunk guy in a Santa suit, and the bartender's this very much like 100 miles of rough road kind of woman.
Yes.
And the guy in a Santa suit, because they're in there and they're like, oh, Christmas is great. Aren't you? Blah, blah, blah. And the guy in the Santa suit says, fuck Christmas. And everyone else agrees. And even the bartender puts her knuckles down and they say, fuck Xmas.
Yeah.
Across her knuckles.
I have to interrupt about this bartender. All right?
Okay.
This woman, this actor is marvelous. She's been in a lot of stuff. And this is not how she looks, right? They did her up just perfectly to do the rough road thing. And, she's awesome because you see that and then she talks and she has that, we don't do Christmas around here, kind of voice. Like
at one point she shoved a bottle brush full of broken glass down her throat.
Yeah, in between smoking cigars for 107 years, right? Daily, all day, every day. It's fun up to this point. There's some little fun moments, but this, for me, was okay. I'm making sure that belt is buckled because we're on.
Yeah. And I do want to just like kind of get out of the way real quickly. The production quality, real good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is.
Right.
We'll talk more about it too.
Yeah.
But yeah. This is really, really well done.
Yeah. So then Sean, a cop, walks in. And we know this because he introduces himself like immediately as Sean the cop. And he is looking for the Santa, who I thought his name was Jerry, but maybe it's something else.
That's not as important as his other attributes.
So this is a really weird situation. So the girls are like taking shots, and Sean is going on about how there have been like bear attacks and murders going on. So he's come into the bar looking for Santa Jerry because they're questioning all the, quote, usual suspects. And Santa Jerry happens to be a pedophile.
Yes. Oh, well, 2 kids were murdered.
Right.
In addition to all the other stuff. They're especially on it because it involved kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's come in to take Jerry in for questioning. And then Sean gets distracted by the girls and gives them his number and then just leaves Santa Jerry there and walks out of the bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess he forgot he had to question the pedophile. But okay. Sean's not a very good police officer, I guess.
No. Well, we learn why. Because he's not a police officer.
Right.
Yeah. After that little bit. He's a park ranger.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome.
So I guess he can't actually bring Jerry in for questioning.
No, because apparently there's been so many bear attacks.
Right.
That the entire police department in this little town is so far stretched that they're asking the park ranger to
help out,
bring people in for questioning who I guess just tell him to go fuck himself and then he leaves.
Right. But he has a little bit of a moment with a serious girl in the bar.
Yes.
And it's her that he gives his number to. So then we get to Santaland, and it's like this abandoned holiday park. It looks like it was pretty cute at one point.
Right.
Right. But it is kind of like broken down, washed out, overgrown.
Yeah.
There was like a cute little bee tram thing that went around, like a gingerbread house. Mm-hmm. And then Blue and Pink say they need to dress up serious. And themselves.
Yes.
So they're just like doing this out in the open, which is cool. Somebody is watching them on a security camera as they change out of their already like very frivolous cosplay-ish outfits.
Yeah.
Into slightly more holiday related cosplay-ish outfits.
Yeah. Naughty Elf.
Right.
I mean, that everyone knows what that is.
Naughty Elf, Snowflake. And like a kind of just Santa, sexy Santa.
Well, I was going to say, is it like a sexy Mrs. Santa? Or, I mean, if you put elf ears, it would be like a sexy Santa helper.
Something like that.
Right. So, yeah, just.
They're like little Lolita dresses and, little boots and wigs.
Now, a little bit of a spoiler, I do want to mention, because we've been watching a lot of movies, especially that series you were watching, The Great.
Yes.
Right. So the one thing about The Great is there is like nothing but sex going on throughout that whole fucking 2 seasons, right?
I mean,
every 10 minutes.
Like even in the background, it's just kind of constantly there.
But there's no nudity.
Nope.
Right? Now, in this scene when they're changing, pink hair girl, Dahlia, is topless.
Yes.
For like 2 seconds. And that is it.
That's the only boobs.
That's the only boobs. And I want to say that because throughout the rest of it, I mean, there's none of it, but this kind of smacked me as this is the requisite.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. Like every B horror movie has to have a boob somewhere, right?
Yeah.
At least one. And they're like, I guess we'll just put it here.
Yeah. And just get it out of the way. And I mean, it is what it is. right?
Yeah.
I mean, if the actor's cool with it, fine. I don't think it would have done anything to the movie had it not been there.
I don't think so.
Because, that's not why I'm tuning in. But, I mean, it was there.
It does feel like a ticked box.
Yeah. It was very,
yeah.
It was almost like a National Lampoon thing where someone runs in and goes, blah, 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 flashes their bare tits and then runs off screen. It's like, all right, we got that done.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, someone's watching them on a security camera, and then they walk into the park like proper. And as they're doing that, Sirius girl is listing off ways to survive a bear attack.
Yeah.
Like on her phone. She's apparently concerned about this. But the other girls start taking the videos of themselves exploring the park. And there's a little bit of a montage of that.
Yeah. And I mean, we didn't write, the details, but it's done in the way that it's going to show on their channel. And they actually show a couple like shots, like a screenshot of the channel page, right? With the video section.
Like you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah. Cause sometimes it's live.
Yeah.
Sometimes it says live and whatnot, which, it was fun. When this is all going on, green hair girl, Sadie, is also texting her boyfriend. And they're kind of pissed off about it.
Yeah.
I mentioned that because it comes up later. And then we cut to a dead animal nearby. I mean, they don't see it, but it's just like some random dead animal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a like, bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, like a bloody pile of remains.
So we go back, we head to the police station in town, and a cop is bringing in the pedophile Santa from the bar. And then, now my words are correct, folks, as I read this. I'll explain in a second. Then the sheriff says, cut him loose. He couldn't be behind the killings. And, Pedo Santa runs off. Now, this one guy who brought him in, I wrote, note. The cop has a badge with Sergeant written on the top of it in marker. It's not great handwriting either. So anyway, when we first saw this hit me, and I wanted to just note it this time through. So they have a sheriff, right? But he doesn't have deputies. They're police officers.
Right.
Which is not typically a mix that you see.
Yeah, it's not how. Yeah.
So, and it's funny because throughout this whole movie, and we don't get into it in too much detail, but throughout the little bits with him and the cops that come up here and there, he's very country sheriff in playing that character.
Yes, he is.
And then the cops are like fucking, Brooklyn Metro.
Yeah, they're
cops.
like city beat cops. It's hilarious.
The combination of the two. Yeah. Especially when they're getting into conversations with one another and arguing. Just like, I don't even know where I need to stand on this. Am I rooting for one or the other or what? So anyway, back to the ladies going through the park. They find this thing that has like a bunch of old toys and shit in it. And all of it's like a big booth.
It looks like it was a display window at one point.
Something, but it was just like chock full of old shit.
Yes.
So they take a couple of things out of there. They find one last building that they haven't been in. So there's a lot of, them going around and stuff. And then they're like, let's go home. Like, oh, no, we haven't been in there. And then we cut to see Barry Bostwick sitting in a chair watching them on a security camera as he's drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Now, Barry, I talk about it later. Well, in case I don't, I want to just describe it if we switch off. So he's got a do-rag on.
Yes.
He's wearing a biker's jacket over a t-shirt, and he's got gnarly old jeans on.
Yes.
He's not roly-poly.
He is not.
But he does have a scraggly, not super long, but scraggly beard. Mm-hmm. And where before at the bar, 40 miles of rough road, Barry looks like 100 miles of rough road in the other direction.
Yeah.
It's
very weird.
So, and then we cut outside and we see some sort of beast lurking through the trees, and then the park, and then whoosh, we get POV and we get beast vision, right? The weird colors and stuff. And then inside, Barry sees the beast on the cameras. The women hear some growling, and the beast is inside
where they are.
Yeah. Oh, well, they hear the beast, right? And they see this thing, and then they go run and hide.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see the beast come in this, like, it's like, I don't know, it was like an old kitchen storage thing. It looked like some sort of like old food locker. They're hiding, and it's coming in, stuffing shit in a box.
These like bloody hairballs.
Yeah. At first, when I, made my note, because it's hard to make out right away once you're looking at it. But I thought, is it meat? What is he? But yeah, their hair, it's like hairy meat chunks or something. It's just weird looking shit. And then one of the ladies' phone rings, and the chase is on. So they bolt from the building. And then as they're running out through the park, a voice yells out, "Krampus!
Krampus!"
It's Barry. And he comes running in and tackles it. The women make it into the room that Barry was in, and they lock the door. They call the cops. They say they're at Santa Land. The cops are pretty mild about everything.
Right.
Right. And then the dispatcher starts going on about trespassing, and then tells them ultimately to fuck off. And this is sort of that formula of, we need help, and there's some strange, unbelievable shit going on, and da-da-da-da. And the lady at the police station is just like, fuck you. You think this is funny on Christmas?
She is like, she's like a backwoods Karen a little bit.
Yes. That is, you know what? That's another one.
Oh.
Right next to don't be a dick back, chopping dicks and killing chicks.
Backwoods Karen.
Backwoods Karen.
Yeah.
Don't be a backwoods Karen.
Oh, gosh.
So Krampus starts banging on the door. They barricade the door. And then they try the cops again. No luck. And then they hear Krampus trying the roof. And then, poof, Barry appears from the fireplace. Cloud of sparkles and smoke.
Uh-huh.
Then they start to pound on him.
Yeah, they pretty ineffectually.
Right. He picks up this really cool looking staff.
It is a cool staff.
Little sidebar. So, folks, anyone who has really gotten into the Santa mythology knows that St. Nicholas carried this staff. This was an actually really good representation of that. It was very old school, very old European looking thing. And the first time I saw it, I was like, I would fucking have that. I'd hang that on the wall.
Cool stuff.
Oh, yeah. So he picks it up, slams it into the ground, sends them all flying in different directions. Then he goes into this whole thing on how he's very disappointed in them. And they're trespassing on his property and fucking his shit up.
Yep.
And at this point, he drops the bomb. Santa.
The real fucking deal.
Yep.
And also that the thing attacking them is Krampus, the Christmas devil.
Yes.
And the girls are like, yeah, right. Even though he literally just magically appeared from the fireplace and magically shut their shit down.
Yep.
They're like, sure, okay.
Well, and they ran for their lives from this hideous looking thing.
Right.
Apparently put all that together in a box.
That's not enough.
Nope. Got nothing.
Meanwhile, in the storeroom, we see Krampus, and he is like fondling this squelchy fur ball of something and bleeding himself on it and sticking it in a pretty little box with a bow.
Yeah, a wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. All right. I guess Krampus is doing something. And Santa is telling the girls all about Krampus. And he also knows all their names. He's still trying to convince them that he's Santa. And then he does like a magical clothing change into the classic Santa getup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The red suit, the hat, the full beard, the whole shebang. And they're like, oh, I guess so. Hey, now that you look like Santa, we believe you.
Yeah. I just want to say up to this point, when you're watching this, you realize everybody involved in this production is a professional and knows what they're doing, because the costumes that the ladies are wearing, Barry's biker do-rag look, and then when they pops into Santa, you can see that this wasn't just thrown together.
Oh, yeah.
Because this was like, we've seen some high-end, supposed to be heart-wrenching, emotionally gripping Santa films. He fucking looked good.
He did.
Barry rocked that Santa look. Holy shit.
He looks like the real deal, right?
Yeah, like the Norman Rockwell.
Storybook perfect Santa.
Yes.
It's very impressive. This movie so far is very impressive.
And what we've seen of Krampus up to this point, too.
Oh, yeah.
Money went into him.
It is legitimate practical effects.
Yes.
And well done.
Absolutely.
Head
to toe.
Yeah. Speaking of Krampus, while Santa is changing into his magical Santa getup, Krampus is eating pedo Santa.
Yeah, whose Santa getup is decidedly less impressive.
It's just the coat and a hat over some regular, like a green t-shirt and some jeans.
Stained with who knows what.
So then we have, we're with the girls and Santa, and the blue-haired girl is making a video with him. This is for their channel. She's sitting on his lamp and asking him all the usual Santa questions. They're like, how do you get around the world and all that stuff.
And I love that they did such a great job.
Yes.
With the dialogue. So how do you get into things? He gives an answer. How do you do this? He gives an answer. How do you do this? He gives an answer. And it's just like boom, bang, boom,
yes.
boom,
bam. And then we kind of transfer from that to their channel where we see the video they're making with Santa, and it's him talking about how things came to where they are now. Like he wasn't really needed anymore because parents buy their kids stuff.
Right.
And he froze Krampus out there. Right.
Yeah.
He had him in cold storage, I guess. And he mentions very briefly that he and Krampus are connected somehow.
Right.
They're opposites. So he started this park because he didn't need to do Santa stuff anymore, so that he could see the joy on kids' faces again.
Right.
But the park didn't super work out. No. And now Krampus is somehow loose.
Right.
And he's responsible for it.
And they do ask, where's Mrs. Claus?
Right.
And he shuts that shit down quick.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a story I want to talk about.
Yep. Not now.
Right.
And then briefly at the police station, there's a ton of calls coming in about dead kids. Lots and lots of them.
Yeah.
I guess. And then Santa and the girls are trying to make a plan, but they can't kill Krampus. Santa is like, nope, can't kill him. And he also is wondering why Krampus is taking children before Christmas. Because here's the thing. Santa goes and gives out presents to the good children.
Right.
And then Krampus is supposed to go kill the naughty children.
Yeah, take their souls to hell.
Right. Very different jobs.
Yes.
And then, there is a little confusion as well. Maybe this is for me as to whether he brings the children to hell or just sticks slimy hairballs into Christmas presents, because that's what we see him doing.
I have the same thing. My exact notes. So those things were hairballs, not meat. Putting the hairballs into boxes. Santa says no. He takes the kids to hell. Agree to disagree. Because the evidence didn't support the story.
Right. And then we're with a family, just a regular human family.
Yeah.
Watching a Santa slasher on TV. And then it's time for the kids to go to bed. Mom dozes off on the chair, and then Krampus is stalking through the house.
Yeah.
Killing the family.
Yeah.
Lots of blood.
Yeah.
Very fun. There is a bit with where Krampus shoves the mom's head through a doorway.
Yeah, as the kids are cowering in their room.
Yeah.
Just there's mom's head. Tunk.
Yeah. It's pretty great. And then we're back at the cabin. And I want to see the blood. The blood's great.
Oh, yeah. This whole thing was, every little bit of everything we've seen is awesome. And we've talked about when all through the house
Yes.
Right. The wonderful job they did with the blood quality.
Oh my goodness.
Because that, I mean, it can make or break. Yeah. This was bam.
Yeah.
Spot on.
It's, I'm having fun watching this movie, which is really what I want in a holiday horror. So at the cabin, Santa is arming the girls with nutcrackers, which I think is kind of hilarious. I think one of them has a gun, but the rest have nutcrackers.
Right.
And I don't know what they're going to do with these nutcrackers. I can't even crack a nut with a nutcracker,
I've never seen one not break.
I know. The idea is for the girls to lure Krampus in by being naughty.
Yes, they have a trap ready to go.
Uh-huh.
And the bait is being naughty.
Yeah.
I love that.
So we spend a lot of time out there with a blue-haired girl who is just like swearing up and down. And it's like actually really cute.
Well, yeah, one of them spray painting, trying to be a vandal. Another one's breaking stuff. And then, Sadie, the blue-haired girl, she's just trying to think up all the sweary shit she can.
Uh-huh.
She's not good at it.
She's not great at it.
And she's like kicking stuff. It reminded me of Hunt for the Wilder People.
Right.
Right. Where it's like, he's just a rebel. He's just terrible. He breaks mailboxes and you see him just like, boom, knock it. He lights fires. And you see him like light a matchbook on fire and throw it on the ground.
I know.
Like, she's really not good at being naughty like this.
No. But Krampus zeroes in on her.
Yeah.
And takes her to the ground. And then we see pink hair girl come up and she tases him.
Yeah.
And then the blue haired girl shoots him with the gun that she had was, I guess, a tranquilizer gun.
Yes.
So he's out. And then we're in town. And Sean and the cops are dealing with some more murders. One of them says they want to call in the FBI because they're only now, at this point in time, realizing that it might not be a bear.
Right. Now, I just want to say at this point, this cop, right?
Uh-huh.
We've seen a couple. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is Richard Mull, as you know from Bull, from Night Court. And I mean, he's, done a bunch of stuff. That's been a long time ago, but it is always a pleasure to see him pop up because he is so fun. He can make faces and he killed his little bit in this. It was just awesome. So yeah, it's not a bear. Kids' hearts were ripped out. That's the whole thing they get into.
Maybe it isn't a bear.
Yeah. So, another quick aside. They're really, so, I mean, if there's a negative to this, it's what we said earlier, agree to disagree, right? The evidence isn't supporting the story that we get. All right. So Krampus is supposed to take bad kids to hell, take their souls to hell. Yet he's ripping fucking hearts out.
Yeah.
And killing people willy-nilly, right? He's not supposed to be touching the adults. Krampus is supposed to be a child's nightmare.
Right.
Right. But he is just wholesale fucking ripping through everyone in this town.
He's busy.
Krampus. Yeah. So at this point, when you're watching, you're probably going to think, why are you talking about shit that is clearly being contradicted by this big horned hairy motherfucker running around, just slaughtering everything Jason Voorhees style. Right. So back to it. We get back to Santa's. Santa's sleeping in a chair. Krampus is unconscious. And the ladies are taking selfies with Krampus.
And tinsel all over him.
They decorate him with tinsel and they have him tied up with Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And then we cut elsewhere and Sean, the not deputy, but park ranger, is told to go to Santa Land by the sheriff.
For some reason.
Right? Yeah. And then Krampus and Santa wake up at the same time. And Santa yells at Krampus. You have to see this because him yelling at Krampus is just the funniest fucking.
It is super funny.
Oh my God. It reminded me of so many old movies where some uptight person's yelling at his slightly, intellectually deficient sidekick or, like third cousin, Johnny,
yes.
take off that thing and put it in the sink. Like he's just so
Krampus.
He's just so done with him. Krampus. Oh my God. So anyway, he's yelling at Krampus. And then he makes himself dizzy. He starts spinning around.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then as he does, Krampus gets dizzy.
Yes.
Moment of discovery. Dahlia, pink hair, ball punches Krampus. Because Krampus is like, and Santa just goes, woof.
Yeah.
Tumbles over to the floor. Outside the park, Sean arrives. There's a car there, and it's got the name Brian on it.
Yes.
All right. Brian is Sadie's boyfriend. Blue hair, yes. Yeah. As briefly mentioned in the bit that I said someone was texting.
Very briefly.
Yeah, they mentioned that's him. So then we see him knocking on the door, and he just comes right on in. Sean finds dead pedophile with his heart ripped out. Sadie, blue hair, is trying to explain the situation, and Brian dismisses it. Like, you guys are fucking ridiculous. And then Krampus busts in and just fucking rips him in half. Literally rips him in half.
Yeah, it just gores him from behind and then
on screen. Full shot of it, folks.
It's wonderful.
This was like the coup de grace. There's a lot of shit that goes on, but when you see a full body split on screen, oh man, everybody earned their cookies that day.
Yeah.
Then Krampus runs off.
Yes.
Which I was just we chuckled because it's just like one of those things, he shows up, rip, gotta go.
Splash. Bye.
Yep. Krampus and Santa are outside and they start fighting Highlander style.
Yes.
There's a lot of sparks and flashes. The ladies run out. They find Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Sean is about to shoot Santa, and then Dahlia tasers him. At the cop station, they're bringing in homicide evidence. And I love this. In just like regular sandwich Ziploc bags.
I know.
And it just says homicide. And then all of a sudden, the dispatcher, she's like, I'm done. And she just takes off. I was just like,
yeah,
sure. And this is where it comes full circle.
Back to the beginning of the movie.
Yep. So we're back to the opening scene. Sean is tied to the chair. Ladies are there trying to explain the entire situation. Nothing's going on. He's like, oh, you're fucking this and that. And then once again, a little demo from Santa, and he's on board. He sees Krampus roaring outside, and they decide to go back to the plan. Tramp Krampus.
That
Tramp Krampus. Trap Krampus before midnight. So they make some weapons.
Yeah.
They lay out the plan. And the best line, Barry as Santa, looking into the camera. Santa Claus is coming to town, bitches.
Yeah. They also have like a photo shoot for their channel.
Oh, yeah. You can't go out and execute the plan without a little A-team assemblage. Right. Yeah.
Oh, so they get into position. Sean and Serious Girl are up by the little tram.
Yeah.
And they're having a makeout session. And there is a sequence here of Krampus fighting with the various girls in their various positions. And I think that this sequence, I'm not going to go into everything that happens, but I just want to say it's a really good study on how to do very low budget action.
Yes.
It's not as flashy as higher end stuff, but it does the trick.
It does.
Right? It's effective.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And it's a good little cut to different shit going on around the park.
Yep. Let's jump on that after we finish.
Sure.
Because it's fresh.
Suddenly, the salty bartender shows up. And she is Mrs. Claus.
On a big motorcycle.
On a motorcycle.
Full hog.
Yes. And she's Mrs. Claus. And she gives Santa like a serious bitching out.
Well, she shows up and she just yells at both of them like, knock it off.
Yeah.
And they both part like beat puppies.
Yes. And so, yeah, she gives Santa a serious bitching out. How he's like failed her at everything.
Yeah.
And apparently they eventually had to eat the reindeer when their park business failed.
Yeah.
They fell on really hard times.
They're stuck with you even when we had to eat the reindeer.
Yeah. And so she starts talking about how, since he failed her, she turned to Krampus for her needs. And then she does this wonderful evil laugh that is one of the best I have ever heard in a movie. I love it so very much. And while she's doing this and like, chewing Santa out, Krampus is locking Sean and the girls into a weird building that has all of his hairball presents in it.
Yes.
And like a little tree. It's like this whole little setup that he's put together. And then back outside, Mrs. Claus has Santa chained up. And she's also explaining her whole plan, right? They're cleansing the world of all the children because she's bitter about how she was portrayed in the Santa stories.
Yes.
She's like, how come they always said I was fat when I'm sexy as hell? And
yeah, I'm fat and they had me as ugly and just a submissive bitch.
Right. So her plan is to kill all the children and pin it on Santa. And then in with the girls, the hairy balls are coming out of the presents and they have little teeth and they're attacking them.
They reminded me of critters.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing their little battle in there. And then Mrs. Claus is rubbing it in Santa's face about how she's fucking Krampus, which is wild.
Well, and meanwhile, Krampus comes up behind her and starts
grinding up on her.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
So then we cut back to the girls being attacked by the hairy balls. And I think if you're going to go ridiculous, this is how you do it.
Yep.
There's so much camp and chaos going on with these hairy balls, which I'm just going to call them that because I don't know what they are.
We never get that.
Except hairy balls attacking the girls and also Sean. And then Krampus is getting the sleigh, so he and Mrs. Claus are going to make their getaway and go and kill all the children. But Sean and the girls escape. They make it to Santa and unchain him. And Santa goes to intercept Mrs. Claus and grabs an axe on the way. Sean, they don't quite make it to the sleigh before it starts taking off.
Right.
So Sean pulls out his gun and shoots Krampus. And it hits him in the shoulder. And then Santa clutches his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then Serious Girl looks at Santa and looks at Krampus and looks at Santa and she apologizes to
I'm
Santa.
so sorry.
Yeah. For chopping off his head.
Yeah.
And as she does this, beheads Santa in order to kill Krampus, they turn to the sleigh, which is in the sky, and the sleigh blows up. I don't know why, but I don't care because it's so fun. And then the police finally show up at Santaland, even though no one called them, and ask what happened. And that's the end of Sleigh Bells.
Yeah. Well, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Santa's body disappears in sparkles.
Yeah.
And then Krampus's head falls to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So shouldn't he have disappeared and
maybe like gore?
Yeah, something. But anyway. Yeah.
Hellfire.
So there it is, folks.
Sleigh Bells.
Yes. Sleigh Bells.
Yes.
It's a fun movie.
It is.
We're going to get onto the fight thing in a second. But, summing it up, it's a fun Santa Krampus slasher. Satisfies both criteria.
It does satisfy both criteria. It is also, I mean, it's a fun gore fest. There is, like, all the boxes are ticked.
Yes.
For a B-movie horror.
Yep.
Right? Like, just right down the line. The tropes, the blood, the goofy holiday stuff, costumes, everything.
Yep. And, spinning Santa. Yep. Well, this time they spun Santa and Krampus because there is Santa versus Krampus.
Yes.
There's name it, and there's a Krampus movie about it.
It's true.
But let's talk about the fight scene.
Okay.
All right. Now, we mentioned Krampus is top-notch, A-list, right, movie
practical,
effects. Yeah, practical effects. But here's the thing. In an A-list or an A movie, right, they have a budget to make like 40 Krampus outfits.
Right.
Because one's going to get fucked up this way, one's going to... That outfit would not withstand even stage fighting.
No.
Right? So what do? You can't make 5, 6, 7 of these things to tear one up and all that. So you leave it to the imagination.
Yes.
Expert editing and choreography.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see what's going to happen, and then you cut, and there's an after effect or something else. And the way this was cut, it didn't take away from the fight.
No.
In a Marvel film, right, they would have hundreds of thousands of dollars in choreography training for this big martial arts. You see all the
impacts, and you get the squibs and
everything. So, it's noticeable in the fact that if you know what's going on, you can see, okay, this is really good editing. I mean, this is awesome. But it doesn't take away.
No, it doesn't. It's, you don't need that kind of like A-list, super highly choreographed squib nonsense in a B movie.
No.
If you are good at editing.
Well, and honestly, I think this is the way to go in all films.
Oh, sure.
We've talked about how somebody...
It is a lot safer.
Well, it's a lot safer, right? But also sometimes it's like too much.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we got the money to do this and that. And this was a tussle.
Yes.
All right. It's just some normal women dressed up in, weird elf outfits fighting a Christmas demon.
Yeah.
It wasn't all of a sudden every superhero knows like every martial art. They're like the MMA masters, right? I mean, Tony Stark as Iron Man, right? He's just a fucking rich guy who built an iron suit and was fucking around. Now all of a sudden he's like hand-to-hand combat master. And it just kind of, I don't know, just takes it away.
I get that.
I love Black Panther, but that end fight scene was too long and too involved.
This is true. Here's the movies where I like to see scenes like that. In old Bruce Lee, Jet Li, like martial arts films.
Kung Fu theater stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what it is about.
Oh, yeah.
You sit through the entirety of that movie waiting.
Yeah.
For the, everything going on.
Waiting for Jet Li to start stunting.
Yep. And it works too. Anything like swashbuckling, like sword fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you want to see that shit go on and on and on. And as much as everyone derides the middle trilogy of Star Wars, right? Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
The lightsaber battle between Ben Kenobi and Anakin. I mean, that's what we were waiting for.
Yeah.
Right? Because in Star Wars, when they faced off, Alec Guinness was his late 60s.
Right.
You're not going to get much out of him, right? And they just it wasn't fantastic. And you hear how legendary these guys were, right?
Right.
And like in the second film of the middle trilogy, they had all the Jedi showed up, and it was too much. There wasn't a whole lot going on. It was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But see these two go at it and at it and at it. I'm like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite sword fight scenes in any movie ever is the sword fight scene at the cliff top in Princess Bride.
Yes. That was an homage to all of the Errol Flynn.
Yeah.
Robin Hood and the sheriff having it out in the castle. I mean, they start on one floor, they make it to the stairs. They're just going, tick, 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 you know, with rapiers instead of big, you know, Highlander cleavers and stuff. It's fun. Makes it fun. Well, in a movie like this, you can't have all this build up without some sort of confrontation.
Right.
So budget wise, you do what you have to do. And I think it adds to the film when you do it this way. I mean, we didn't need to see this long protracted thing, right? We get that shit's going on and one of them ends up crawling away or someone ends up dead. I mean, in all the conflicts, right? Never underestimate the ability of the audience's brain to connect the dots.
Right.
In short spans. It's just that simple, you know. But we've also seen movies where I don't think the people were in the same room. Where it would be like a POV, they'd film one guy punching at the camera. It's just like, none of this makes sense.
And then they turn in the other guy. He just like moves his face back and turns his head to the side.
Yeah. And there's a couple I recall we watched where we're like, that wasn't, whoever they have throwing the punch at this guy's not even wearing the same shirt. Because it's got like this, you know, long sleeve. It's like guys in a yellow shirt, and all of a sudden this fist comes out of the screen towards the guy, and it's like a blue shirt.
Right.
Okay. Continuity. That's lesson number 2.
Sure. Keep
up on continuity, folks. But yeah, the fight scene was fun. Well done. And, you know, preserved Krampus as his makeup, which was kind of cool, you know. And also you can't get Barry Bostwick on set and just, you know, kick his ass. That's not cool either.
No.
You know. So that is the fight stuff.
That is.
But there's more.
There is more.
Blood we talked about.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
They don't shy away from it. There's a lot of good splatter.
And the quality of it, which makes all of that stuff work, especially like the splatters.
Yeah.
Right. Experiment. There are formulas online how to make practical effect blood.
Well, and here's the key, right? You need different kinds of practical effect blood for different kinds of things that you are filming.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you're doing like a head cut off, blood squirting out of the neck, you need a different kind of blood than you do to just like splatter someone's shirt.
Yes.
Right? Or to do like a gunshot wound, or just filming like a spray on a wall. Ooh, I hit the printer.
Well, you're using up like the whole office.
Yeah.
It is. And we talked about it in All Through the House. One of the things was the blood was fantastic, but you could tell the different kinds. So there's like the bloody nose blood. There's the bleeding from the mouth, blood from the ears kind of thing, getting cut. But then there's that arterial blood where there's like a stab or a slash wound in the leg, right? How it's weird.
And pooling blood.
It's weird that horror people know the differences. We're not medical experts.
I do feel weird that I know the differences.
But, you know, we've talked about arterial blood is super dark. And I mean, because that's like, you know, that's like the honey in the honeycomb. Right? And then as you get further out into the smaller veins and closer to the surface, things happen differently.
It's a little brighter.
Yeah.
A little thinner.
Yeah. You know, bloody nose is kind of like I call it the standard blood. Right? Because we see it the most.
Yeah.
You know, blood from the mouth and stuff. But we've seen where it's like pink.
Yeah.
Or it's like somebody spilled some Kool-Aid. I mean, and you do what you can. We get that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you're thinking of making something that's going to have a blood scene or lots of blood, go online, practice with the stuff.
Yeah.
Make a couple mixtures up, you know, get the one that's like, ooh, that looks like it. Because blood is a tricky bitch. Boy, you can do innards, you can do practical effects with latex and all that stuff, and you can pull it off. But blood.
There's also a lot of like just really interesting tricks. Like just a real quick aside as an example.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was doing the Dinner Detective murder mystery show, right? For one of the roles, and all the actors were required to make a bloody shirt to have on hand. And you could use temporary fake blood, but it always looks too red. And like what I wanted for mine was an effect that would stay, right?
Yeah.
And not kind of wear, so I could just always just have this shirt ready and prepared if I were playing the person who got killed.
Right.
Which I did often. Which is, I guess I die very well. And for that, in order for it to look real enough that's believable, but also because it's a fun kind of theater show, you don't want it to look too real.
Right.
Right? Nail polish.
Yeah.
Red nail polish.
Yeah. Well,
and it worked like a charm.
Well, and the stage blood too. I mean, even that stuff when you buy it, especially around Halloween time. So a good example. Like the fake blood can look great when you apply it, but then when it dries, it's like light pink.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Lily, when we made her up as Zombie Dorothy.
Oh, I remember your arms and hands were red, like pink for weeks.
Oh, because I wrestled with that fucking dress. We shredded it and everything. And I kept applying fake blood, kept it good. And then when it would dry, we're like, yeah, that looks really fucking good. And then a couple of days later, look at the dress. I'm like, oh my God, it just looks like she spilled juice.
Yeah.
This doesn't have the blood effect. So I tried, I'm reapplying it, maybe layering it or something, but that particular blood just wouldn't work out. And I mean, it looked okay for her when she went trick-or-treating, but we did the fresh application on her face and stuff that night.
Yeah.
And so fresh, it looked okay. But over time, it's not very good. So that's why you want to kind of mess with stuff.
Yeah. Play with your blood.
Yeah. Yeah. Have fun with it. And, make copious amounts of it and use it wantonly. And the effects we were talking about too. I can't remember who it was. So we've talked to so many people about this, but they were talking about a decapitation scene where they were using a pressure hose for the blood to come out. And it just like shot through everything. And they were begging, can we just do this by hand? They just use a hand pump to get it out. Because, I mean, it's fun to see like the ridiculous, no human body could produce this kind of spray.
Right.
Especially like in Japanese, the horror films that we watched.
Which I love those.
Well, I mean, yeah, because that they're going through hundreds of gallons of blood in that production. Right? It's just like, 400 PSI air hose just pumping this stuff out. But yeah, I mean, play with your dispersion methods.
Yeah.
It's always good fun. But use fake blood. I don't know if we ever told that story.
As opposed to real blood?
Well, when I was a kid and I used the frog blood.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's for another time. Anyway, if you're going to use it, don't shoot it in your cousin's mouth.
So gross.
That's all I can say. So the writing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the core. It was good. It was
good. I think the biggest strength of this movie as a B-movie horror and as a Santa slasher holiday horror is that they obviously leaned into the camp.
Yes.
Right? Which, I mean, it works. Right? And it does it in a way that they were serious about their art production, but they didn't take themselves too seriously.
Right.
Which I think is kind of like a weird line to walk, right?
It is. Well, we were just talking about it recently.
Yeah.
Using Tucky as an example with the bad dialogue and
right.
Do
you know how hard it is to write dialogue that bad?
Yeah, and then to have everyone lean into it, knowing that everyone wants to make this great thing, but the great thing you're making is campy.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, it's got to be hard. I mean,
it does have to be hard.
So our zombie script, we kind of bounced in the different versions of it. the different drafts.
Yeah.
It's like, is it going to be a dark humor kind of thing?
Our first version was super dark.
It was dark and more somber.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, well, let's focus on some of these funny moments.
Yeah.
All right, let's put a few more of those.
This is very heavy.
Right. And then it came out to where it's not like a big camp thing, but we did embrace, the story is, the whole setup is just stupid. Yeah. This movie that we're talking about, Sleigh Bells, is just stupid. Every horror movie is just stupid. And that's not an insult. I mean, the story is ridiculous. It is what it is, right? It's like, even like, Halloween. Like, oh, so some lunatic's going to get out and he's walking around in a mask and nobody in this fucking town. It's like the Charlie Brown town. Where are the fucking parents? Where are the grown-ups?
Well, I think, it's like, important to remember at the end of the day that what you're making is just something to entertain people.
Yeah. And it's okay that premise could be viewed as stupid. I mean, it's not, like I said, every adult in that town is gone.
Right.
All this shit's happening. It's like, where did they fucking go? Like, to the next town over? And they're just like, hey, Halloween, that's the day you dump your fucking kids on teenage babysitters, and we all hit it at the club, 40 miles away.
The Halloween parties.
But you know what? That's why we watch horror, to be frightened, to be entertained, to see the, campy, all the different layers, because we all know it's just a level of stupidity in terms of storytelling that there's going to be so much that doesn't fit in with the logic. But the fun part is abandoning that.
Well, yeah.
And rolling in it.
It was even all our moments watching this movie where we were both like, agree to disagree.
Yeah. Well, and that's the one thing about it is, so we're told this, but we're seeing this. And I think maybe those could be demerits in, maybe it wasn't conceptualized visually well enough to support the one thing being said.
Maybe.
But did we care?
No.
Does it matter? No. Does it hurt the movie? No. We're just rolling with it.
Well, it was the one thing, like, the blue-haired girl's boyfriend, Brian.
Yeah.
Right? Very briefly, she does these text messages, and it's so brief and it's so kind of unimportant to everything that it's something I barely even included in the notes. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's texting her boyfriend. I don't know why. Sure. And then he shows up and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to care about him. And then
I know. Well,
1.5 seconds later.
So I can explain that first bit. There is actually some conversation that she's been texting him. He's been ignoring her.
Right.
Dahlia's like, well, maybe he's working. And she's like, oh, no. So it's like this quick setup to this like relationship thing going on that maybe we'll see later.
Maybe.
And no, we see Brian. He's like, you're full of shit. Fripp. and
bye, Brian.
Brian was slowly introduced physically into the film
so that they could have a cool kill scene
without having to take down the character count.
Right.
Of our main characters. He was the blood bitch of the thing. And that's what makes it so funny.
She also isn't super broken up about him dying either. I mean, for 2 seconds, she's like, oh no, Brian. And then she forgets all about him.
Yeah. And it's just, it's part of the joy. This whole thing. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, watch it anytime. It's one of those things. You don't have to watch it around Christmas, clearly.
But 'tis the season.
But watch it, and we talked about the production value, right? Straight on.
Yeah.
A lot of night scenes, a lot of in and out variable light and conditions, and they were right on top of it. So the DP and the cameraman were earning their keep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fucking fantastic job. And that adds to the fun.
Well, I think, to kind of like do an overall, right, in a nutshell, this was very cleverly written, cleverly filmed, cleverly produced. I mean, this was made by someone who knows all the tricks, knows all the boxes to tick, knows what's required, right? And just executed it extremely well.
Well, and knows the beats.
Yeah.
Right. So I would call this a traditional modern horror slasher. Okay. Maybe creature, because we have Krampus. And in that, we talked about how the best of this genre are the ones where we don't have 40 tedious fucking minutes of setup and, trying to get us emotionally involved with the characters, and then shit kicks off. We have them doing their, I don't know, Girls Gone Wild shit at the beginning, just being whatever they're doing. We're seeing who they are by how they're acting.
Right.
Right. We're going on thing. And then Alexi / whatever her fucking name is. Serious girl. Alexi, she's clearly the nerd.
Right.
But at the same moment, she puts on a, sexy little Santa outfit.
And she's having fun.
Yeah. And getting into it. Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. But we get who they are. We get what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And that includes the fucking bar bit. Right. And then we have that small segue to, Dahlia's tits. And then we're back on track. Everything kicks off. There are shots of the cameras.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of shots of them being seen on the monitor.
Yes.
Right. And then ultimately we see Barry back there / Santa, checking things out. And the story unfolds during the movie, during the action, during all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't have this whole big long thing with Santa telling his sad woe story and this and that. And, the connection between Santa and Krampus is pretty obvious.
Yes.
But we also didn't get 5 to 10 minutes of backstory on why or how or all that. It just kind of is there. And then in that moment where it's like, here it is, the reveal, right? We knew it beforehand, but there it is. And you're like, oh, okay. But we're always moving.
Right.
Always moving. Even with the police station and the weird mix of a sheriff / beat cops.
Yes.
I don't know. It's still, I don't know.
Backwoods Karen.
It's such a small part of the film. It's just, every time we watch it, it's going to just get me. Like, why do you have a fucking sheriff and then you have like precinct cops?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh God. Anyway, even with those bits, it's moving.
Oh yeah.
Right. And what I like is they introduced a B story, the kids, the murders that are going on.
Right.
Right. So while this whole big thing is going on, they're still beating that horse to death. Not beating a dead horse. They're beating that horse to death with that, because we know, as the audience, we fucking know, and we're watching them,
puzzle it out.
Yeah. Mayberry their way through Barney Fife style.
It might not be bears.
Ange, I think that maybe that's not the bars. And it's fun. And I like that formula too.
I like it too.
I like knowing what the fuck is going on. And I love watching them on screen try to sift their way through to the truth.
Well, I like that the cops are illogically dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
well, everyone seems okay with a park ranger helping out. So
yeah,
clearly there's a divide in, I don't know, intellectual capacity.
Yeah.
For some of these guys. And once you see the word sergeant written on that badge,
it would have been even cuter if it was misspelled.
I looked because I knew it was coming. And I just, if it is, because I couldn't remember. Like, if it is, that's a sweet piece of cake there.
Yeah.
But no, it was just poorly written on the top of it with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the tropes.
Oh, sure.
Let's talk about, because this is officially a leading lady film. It's the 3 ladies.
Yeah.
They're the heroes,
right,
or heroines. I guess I don't know who wants to go where with terminology, but they're the ones who are large and in charge.
Yeah.
At the beginning and at the end.
Yeah.
Right. We don't lose one, which a lot of times we do.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. A lot of female-driven casts. Even so, there's men involved, right? Except for Brian. He's, hey, I'm Brian. Nope, you were Brian, and we're moving on. They will eliminate a number
right
of the women and bring us down to last girl standing.
Yeah, final girl.
Yeah, which
that's overdone.
I think we're past that.
The final girl.
Yeah, I would like to see the final girls or final women. I would like to see several people push their way through to the end. And you can have a larger group and whittle it down. That's fine. Because
sure.
I mean, it's a horror movie. Somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
A few people have got to go if you want to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
But all our core people made it.
They did, except for Santa.
Right.
And he was pretty core, you know.
I mean, it's Santa slasher.
But, yeah.
But
other than that, yeah, they made it through. And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I think their goofiness, when we first watched it, I was honestly worried. Like, oh God, it's just gonna be one of those where it's like they're gonna try real hard to go one direction or another, and I'm just gonna be like, So they don't play them stupid.
No.
Okay? Sadie is soft.
Sure.
Right? Because we see her just really trying to kick it off and just be the worst, quote, kid, you know, to attract Krampus. And she just does such a shit job of it. It's, you know, it's like, man, you can tell she's not a super sweary person.
Right.
And she's kind of, you know, tap, tap, you know, break it, goddammit. Tap, tap. And, you know, Dahlia is the beta, or not the beta, the alpha. Right. Of the whole thing, right? She's just like full on, you know, just living life, you know. And these are young women,
mm-hmm.
and clearly it's a YouTube thing going on, so they're doing their bit. And there's a personality that goes with that. All you got to do is go out to YouTube and see. You know, there are some that are just awful, but just full of energy, silly,
mm-hmm.
right? Borderline immature behavior, right? But they did do a good job when they're not doing.
Well, they're not doing their videos.
Right.
Right. They're
more,
not dumb.
They're more grounded.
Yeah.
To what's going on. I mean, they still have their personalities,
mm-hmm.
right? Which balance. So I was watching this again. I was just reminded of how pleasing it is to see female leads not being used as props.
Right.
Not being used, you know, whatever, in this fashion. It's like, okay, they're in that little bit. You can see how rounded they are.
Yeah.
Right? They're obviously smart enough to get through life. They know what they're doing. They got a fucking channel. I mean, you think about it, it's not a simple thing. Otherwise, there'd be, I mean, how many fucking YouTubers are out there, including us?
Well,
hundreds of millions, right? We'd
Tons.
All be fucking rich.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, we record this podcast and we're pretty much just the way we are in regular life when we record, but like, we speak slightly differently, you know, it's a little bit of a persona.
Well, right? We talk a lot more. We don't talk this much.
No.
I mean, we sit and we chill. We discuss things when they come up. We watch things quietly. You know, it's one of those things. We're not those kinds of people where if we're not talking, the relationship's not growing. We know where we are. We know who we are.
Yeah.
And we've sat for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Chilling. I mean, especially when Midge was little. Put her to bed. We'd throw some music on in the background and we'd sit and just each read a book
mm-hmm.
for 2 hours. And then be like, all right, let's go to bed.
Or we'll have nights where like I'll be painting. And you'll be, you know,
chilling.
Doing whatever it is, fiddling or playing a game or.
Yeah, whatever's come up. And and we don't need to be in, not every minute. But this is a podcast. This would be super bad radio if for this 90 minutes to 2 hours, 80% of it was just
us chilling.
Dead air.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. back to tropes.
Yeah. I just want to say, so I thought they were represented well at the level of how everybody was represented in this.
Yeah.
Because it's, it's a silly Santa slasher Krampus murder film.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it a few times already, but it ticks a lot of boxes.
Yes.
Right. We've got the dumb cops. We've got the park ranger, but he's like slightly smarter than the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We've got a little bit of a budding romance in the film.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not overplayed.
No.
Right.
Well, no, but they do end up making out when they're supposed to be keeping watch.
Yeah.
and that's where the whole fight thing kicks off.
Because they weren't keeping watch properly.
Yeah. Okay.
They were sucking face instead.
They were.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Is it because I said sucking face?
No.
Okay.
Damn it. It was really good too. I'm pretty sure it was. Maybe
Probably.
It was. Could have been. Might have been.
Yeah.
We may never know if it doesn't come back quick.
But the inept law department, like cool, creepy. Oh, here's the cool, creepy, abandoned location, right?
Yes.
What a fun idea.
I know. It reminded me of Santa's Village.
Yeah.
In Gurnee, Illinois. You know how I know that? Because I grew up listening to that fucking commercials. Come to Santa's Village in Gurnee, Illinois. And I would beg and beg and beg. Mm-hmm. And finally got to go. Won't get into it. Wasn't what if someone else had taken me, I'd have had a blast.
Oh.
But yeah. And I spent the rest of my life thinking, I'm going to go back to Santa's Village. I'm going to go back to Santa's Village. The next thing you know, I'm a grown up. It'd be really weird if I went back to Santa's Village.
We could go.
No, it's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Lily would be nonplussed.
Okay.
Over it. But anyway, that's what it reminded me of. It was that whole Santa thing. That's what it was. It was the North Pole. It had the silly little roller coaster thing, had the little things you go up and down as they go around.
Yeah.
You put your little kids in and stuff. So toy airplanes, it's, reindeer and sleds.
Food stand where you can get hot cocoa with a candy cane in it or whatever.
And here's the thing. It made sense in, Illinois because it's fucking cold in the winter. But I love seeing these things in California.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, I get it. I mean, you can still pull it off. I lived in Arizona for a few Christmases, and I'll take Christmas without snow and all the bullshit any day.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
When I walk outside on Christmas morning and it's already 68, sold. I'm good. The rest of that shit doesn't make Christmas up for me.
It bothers me not at all if there is not snow on Christmas.
But then I think of hot chocolate. It's 106 fucking degrees outside. Last thing in the world I want, even coffee, as much as, we love coffee. Mm-hmm. Being outside, hey, want some coffee? No. If you have iced coffee, I'm on it.
Sure.
But yeah, who wants a iced hot chocolate? Isn't that just nasty chocolate milk? Because hot chocolate, when it gets cold, is not good.
It is not good.
Right.
It's only good hot.
But the location that they picked, everything about this deserted Santa land was great.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it actually was a place.
I don't know.
Or they just found some shit. Because around here, folks, we have junkyards where I don't know if we talked about it ever before. We used to have a car wash chain called Octopus Car Wash. Yeah. Car Wash. They ended up, slowly closing down and stuff. Some dude went around and they had these big giant octopus.
These big old plexiglass octopi.
Yeah.
That sat on
above the side.
Flagpole kind of things.
Yeah. And he bought them from all the locations as they were closing.
Yeah.
And had them in we passed and there they are.
Yeah. We
in
didn't
this guy's yard. No.
Yeah. We were just driving out in the country somewhere and we ended up by happenstance passing this house with all the Octopus Car Wash octopi standing in the yard. And we were like, oh, that's where all of the octopi went.
Yeah. Well, and there's the one out by your grandma's when we go the back way.
Yeah.
To different places. there's a farm, and he's got this weird collection of like carnival.
Well, yeah, he collects old carnival rides.
Yeah, he's got different car things from the,
yeah, he's got like a tilt-a-whirl. He's got a
Yeah.
little Ferris wheel. He's got
just
a little roller
weird
coaster.
shit. And I mean, in the middle of fucking nowhere.
And they work. And I actually want to drive out past there sometime before Christmas because he lights it all up for
Nice.
Christmas.
Nice. We can do that. But anyway, if we were location shooting for an eerie fucking place, that would be it. Why? Because it's all this weird shit in the middle of nowhere.
It's true.
And it would be ideal. So, folks, if you're in Wisconsin, send us an email. If you're like, hey, yeah, I want to make a horror movie and I was looking for locations and that sounds good. Hey, we'll hook you up. Because it is creepy as shit. Not as
I love it. I think it's really cool.
Not as creepy as that weird fucking place we found for the popcorn ducks.
The popcorn duck story.
Yeah, where actually whole sections of buildings or these houses were gone and people were living in them with literally no back wall to the fucking house.
Wild.
We're watching them watching television, eating, like it was a stage set.
Yeah, it was very weird.
And so uncomfortable.
It felt very much like, so we were on a drive out somewhere and there was a sign that enticed me to go and figure out what was going on because the sign said popcorn ducks. And I was like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah. And we had fun talking about it. What are we going to find? What are we
Right.
going to find? Are they like ducks made out of popcorn? Are they little tiny ducks? Is this some sort of like breeding thing?
Yeah.
Full-size duck is about the size of a golf ball.
Yeah. Well, it turned out to just be popcorn and also ducks.
Yeah, but the way the sign was, right?
Yeah.
It said popcorn ducks.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like there was a bunch of shit on there and we just like paired it up. It literally said, come see,
No, it just said popcorn ducks and there was an arrow.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the whole sign. And we were like, yes, please.
Well, and that led us on a long back road, twisty-turny thing.
Yeah. And then we ended up in this place where, the houses had no back wall and like they were run down, ramshackle. And it felt like we had stumbled into The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes. But that was after we found the place that had popcorn and ducks.
Right.
And we got up there and I was about to pull in the driveway. I said, I don't know.
And I agreed with you.
And so then we cranked the wheels over and just kept going. It was so eerie. That was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It was creepy.
And then we drove up a bit over this little hill. And then I'm like, God, what's up with all those fucking houses? Did they like bring all those houses out here? Because it looks so weird. And then there's a road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just before him. And we turned. And that's when we saw this. And I'm driving. And I'm like, are there whole fucking sections of those houses missing?
Yep.
I slowed down. I looked. I'm like, okay, we got to go. They can see us.
I'm like, we got to get out of here. This is where the car breaks down for no reason.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself in a horror movie.
And it was very horror movie like because there was nowhere to turn around.
Nowhere.
Because on both sides of the road, the shoulder was like 8 feet below the fucking pavement.
And the road was super narrow.
Yeah.
So you couldn't execute a Y turn very well.
No. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get stuck trying to jimmy this fucking truck around. So we finally drove like a couple miles.
Yeah.
And found a space where we could just whip around. And then we're like, we got to drive back. I mean, we could have GPSed our way out of there, but folks, that's part of the fun of life. Turn that fucking thing off. Because we were just going out.
Have an adventure.
That's why we were out.
Yeah.
We typically would go out and just, let's go in a direction.
I think our main goal for that drive was like a candy store or something that was in a little town.
That was the other way.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Actually, I know what we were doing. We were looking for Cabela's.
Oh.
Because, whole big thing. We had to drive like to fucking ends of the earth to take it back to one store near Milwaukee.
Before there was a Cabela's here.
Yeah, it was such a bitch. Anyway, it was fun. Let's get back to the creepy shit though.
Sure.
This movie, the environment was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It really just, it fit everything.
It did.
It fit everything. Well, I don't know.
I think that's all the things.
Yeah. Good writing. Dialogue was fun. The actors performed very well. And
perfect balance of camp and like artistic seriousness.
Right. But there was never the full on panic, like Friday the 13th / Halloween level, panic. It was their own version of panic, which keeps it fun. All right.
Yeah. Well, there was the attack of the hairy balls.
Yes. Which, I don't know. But hey, they looked good.
That's true.
They were fun. Watch it, have fun, and just take note of what's going on, how things are presented. More importantly, how the ladies were. The one thing I want to close with on that is we're talking about ticking all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I would very much like to see the bare tits box come off the list.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessary. It wasn't necessary for this movie. I don't hold it against the movie at all.
No. Well, we were talking way, way, way back. Was it with Barney? Somebody about Night of the Living Dead.
Sure.
Right? How, it was what it was, the original. And then for no apparent reason, there's this naked woman walking through.
Yeah.
And she walked right into my microphone just like that. And, it was like, well, for distribution purposes, overseas or wherever, that's the kind of shit they put in for international type stuff. Right. And we had a whole big long conversation about how, you just got to suck it up.
Right.
Producers and distributors it's got to have this. But so anyway, filmmakers, I think we all know what tits look like. And if you want to see them, I suggest you get in a relationship with someone and, work your way towards it. I don't think we need these in these movies anymore. And I think this is the point where we can educate the viewers, because here's what's going to be. If I ask this question to somebody who was involved with it, they'll be like, well, the audience for this is clearly guys, because we got a bunch of bouncy tits in skimpy outfits, attractive women running around. All right. Okay. So how about find your audiences males, right? 16 to 25. I get it. But doesn't mean you have to give them everything.
Yeah.
Right. So put a sexy woman in a sexy outfit if you have to. I mean, sure. But let's stop with the obligatory tit shot and then move on.
That has no real purpose.
It absolutely doesn't, because Alexi and Sadie were doing fine changing outfits.
Yeah.
Without giving us full on, right? I mean, there's shots where, there's side boob and stuff or full bareback. And that's fine, right? Yeah. That's an artistic way of, just showing they're changing clothes. Okay.
I mean, even like a bare ass.
Right. But yeah, just to, have someone doing their thing and then turn around and literally just kind of like puff them out a bit and give them a little jiggle. I don't know how you get dressed in the morning, but when I'm not here, but I've never seen it.
It's an elaborate dance.
Maybe it's better I'm not here. To me, getting dressed is just purely a utilitarian function. Just cover up my bare ass so I can get out of here.
It's got 27 steps.
So that would be my only criticism, really. And it's not really so much a criticism of the movie, just as a whole. I think we can start moving away from that because, like I said, that TV series, The Great, nothing but sex. And
just constantly.
No.
There is, there's no frontal nudity. I'm thinking of it now. There is one very long kind of scene where Peter is walking naked through the castle.
Yes, I just realized that.
His ass a bunch of times, but every time it's the front, there's something covering.
Well, and you know what? I'm for that because I think it's turn the tables time.
Oh, sure.
Right. If you're like, oh, well, we need some nudity in here. Well, does it need to be full frontal? No, it can be a bare ass. All right. Make a guy do it.
Yeah.
All right. Women, since the beginning of film, have had to flaunt it, shake it, and show it. And I think it's time to just keep them dressed. And you know what? Guys, if you want to go to a movie and you're like, man, last thing I want to see is another guy's dick on screen. Okay. Think of the hundreds of millions of women who've gone to film and have been forced at watching, bouncing titty murder victims. Yeah. Think on that one a bit. Sound like B.F. McGillicuddy there. Think on it. So yeah, if you got to do it, make a guy do it. But otherwise, I don't think we need it at all. The spring break movies, all of that stuff, I don't think we need it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly had its day.
Right.
Now we're, hopefully an evolved society.
And like a favorite of crime movies is everything always happens at a strip club.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the thing. I get that that's like really true in a lot of things, but here's the thing. All you need to do is see the sign, see him go in, hear the music, have a blurry girl in the background, and she can still be in her bikini, right? We don't even see anything, even if she was fully nude. And there, have them walk through, because nobody sits out in the middle in front of everybody and talks business. Have them go to the back office. Bam. We know they're in a strip club. We know what's going on out there. Move on. Move on. Right? We don't need any gratuitous shots of the strippers who have nothing to do with the fucking movie, except giving us 30 seconds to a minute of just dancing. Anyway.
Well.
Yes.
With that,
we
what?
We have a website.
We do. It's www.lordsofmisrollproductions.com.
And it has everything you need, so go there. I just want to say, before we go through the rest of our stuff, so this is Christmas week. This is coming out. Just, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. I hope that your holidays are wonderful. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, most people around the world celebrate some sort of winter holiday.
We're not going to get into it, but as a religious person, I'm fully aware Christmas has long since lost that connection. And what we celebrate as Christmas is fine. And if you see it as a religious holiday, how about turning it around and just think of it as a time to be with family?
That's what I'm seeing it as,
Yeah.
Time to be with family. Think about, all of the things that you have and are grateful for.
Exactly. I stopped doing services, for Christmas, because it's just like, what? That's an all year round thing. Let's be grateful for what we have. Let's try to help those who we can. Let's just, let's try and bring it up this week. A lot of you are going to be traveling. Maybe. I don't know. It's 2 weeks.
Be safe. We've got by the time this comes out, we'll have had our booster shots.
Yeah.
But as of the recording, ours are scheduled
for a week away.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the, as you call the Transformer, variant, Omicron.
Oh yeah.
Transformer.
Or
Decepticon.
Decepticon.
Omicron Decepticon. So yeah, we don't know what's going to happen between now and then. It's a couple of weeks away, but, regardless, be safe, be smart. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We can only hope for the best. Let's see. We got, some things coming up. We have our year-end retrospective.
I'm very excited about this one, and we usually don't say a whole lot about it.
We don't, but I brought it up because I know you would like to say a little.
But we are going to be talking about the first female director of narrative films.
Yes.
And she did many, countless, hundreds. So many that are lost to time.
Yeah, absolutely lost, physically destroyed and gone.
Yeah. Because she worked with the first company to make commercially available cameras, film cameras.
Yeah.
And I don't know, should we say her name?
If you want to, you can keep it as a surprise.
Yeah. But I'm really excited to do it. We're going to be watching some of the films that she made. We're going to be watching a documentary about her. We're doing our own research as well about her. So I'm really excited to talk about this. And I know that you're excited kind of going forward into the new year.
Yes.
Because of what we want to be focusing on.
Well, we were figuring out what to do as a retrospective. You found this.
Yeah.
And that was perfect because, folks, in the year of 2022, we're going to do our very best to focus on women in independent film. And we're going to primarily try to focus on written and directed, right? Those credits, the women who have wrote and or directed indie films, full on or just came in to direct or whatever. Obviously, there's tons of indie actors out there, women who will be covering too. But we're going to do the best that we can to focus on that. So this is a perfect way to end the year with this woman who, gave us the actual movie, the actual narrative film.
Yeah.
Instead of just like random shots of just shit, because that's what entertained people.
Yeah.
It's a horse running in a field.
And it wasn't just that she was the first, female director to do this. She was the first director to do this.
Yes.
Right.
And so we're gonna give her due.
Yes.
And pass her legacy on to you next week. And then in 2022, like I said, we're going to try and even the scales.
We are. I know the one we're doing right after is not like female directed or written, but it has been on our list for a long time. But
it's finally become available to us without having to go through this weird rental thing.
A very strange process.
Yeah.
But we're going to try and focus on doing covering the majority of the films that we will cover will be written and directed or directed or, something along those lines, produced.
Right. Yeah.
By women. Not everyone will be.
No.
But we want to put more of a focus on it.
Yeah, we're going to do it. So, and, listeners, if you know somebody.
Yeah.
Or you've seen somebody's work. You're like, hey, I saw this film, it was written and directed by this woman and, it was pretty good. Take a look. Shoot us an email. It's on the website. You got 2 to choose from. We don't care which. We get them all. Right? Either info or podcast. Let us know. You can even reach out through social media. All that shit's on there too. Let us know and we will be more than happy to bring it into the light of day. And that's our goal. 2022.
Yeah. All right. Well, kids.
Yep. That's it, B-siders.
Bye. No, I'm just... Until next time, this is Danny.
And this is Jim.
We'll catch you next week.
Bye.